Hello, everyone, and welcome to ESPN FC Live. Alexis Nunes here alongside Ali Krieger and Julien, and we are talking about the Women's Euros semi-finals. The second one now has been decided, and it looks like deja vu. We are getting a rematch of the Women's World Cup final that we saw last time down under in Sydney, Australia. It's going to be England against España. But first, the Spanish had to take it to extra time to get the best of Germany. It was quite a battle. Ali, we were talking off camera and you were like, geez, what a game. And the way it was going, I was surely saying, come on, Spain, surely you're not going to wait till extra time to try and put this to bed. And look, Alexia Putellas said that this was a chance for Spain not to get revenge, because we know they haven't had the best track record against Germany. They've never made a Women's Euro final. But instead, she said it's just an opportunity to do better. I don't know if they did better today, because they did it sufriendo, as they said, suffering, weren't they, Ali?
Yeah, absolutely. I was assuming that Spain was going to come out and had, created more opportunities in front of goal. Were able to put the ball in the back of the net a little more often than at the very end of extra time, with Bonmati coming in and doing what she does well and taking that decision to make it difficult for her and Katrin Berger to make the save. I know that Germany, they were set up very well defensively. They had that same mentality that they carried through the entire tournament. They should be so proud still of this performance. But yes, ultimately Spain held strong with their possession-oriented style throughout, recycling the ball through Bonmati and Alexis Putellas, who was a bit more quiet this match than I've seen her obviously throughout the entire tournament. But they had combination play in and around the box, which made it difficult for Germany towards the end of the extra time to hold it. But their patient buildup, created this opportunity, which ultimately led them to win and get to the final for the very first time since 1997, and now against England, who has been in 3 finals consistently the past 3 opportunities. So this will be a rematch of what we want to see from before in the World Cup. So incredible for Spain. What a fight to the very end. Germany, they did look dangerous, a few opportunities there, especially towards the end of the game, which I thought they were going to tie it to go into PKs. But brilliant game, really exciting, very transitional. Ultimately, Spain came out on top.
Yeah, Jules. Well, these were the German girls that took out your French girls as well. We spoke in depth about that game. Spain still, despite the mental fortitude that we know Germany had heading into this, Spain still were those favorites to win. But Germany, once again, found a way to push them, despite the fact that they had injuries to that back line, despite the fact that they had suspensions as well as a result of that game against France too. But Germany pushed Spain, but Spain finding the way, and the difference was Aitana Bonmati, as we have seen so many times.
Yeah, and we said it after the quarterfinals win against Switzerland, when she broke the deadlock with that wonderful back heel on the first goal. And again tonight, when Spain were maybe not at their best, and some of the other superstars that they have, like Putellas, maybe not at their best, she came out with a moment of genius. Really, that's what you think. We all expected a cross. Berger expected a cross, and instead, it's clearly what she wanted to do. She went at the near post, and it's just even to let the ball run like she did, to then accelerate behind, and then to shoot like she did in that tight angle to score is just wonderful. That's why she's the best player in the world. That's why she's the Ballon d'Or winner, not just once but twice. I feel a bit for Lohmann, who just came on for Germany and should never lose the ball where she did lose the ball that led them to the goal. But that's part of the game. When you play against a team with so many strong individual players, at some point collectively, Germany were great. They were resilient again, so well organized, so good defensively. But you can be undone by just a moment of genius, of brilliance, and that's what happened again.
Yeah, Ali, what did you think of Aitana's goal as well? Because as Jules said, we don't want to criticize Germany too much, because this is Aitana. When she does get a chance, she does take it. But what did you make of her goal as well as Germany's missed chances? Because they did have some opportunities to, I suppose, turn the result on its head.
Yeah, they were organized defensively and disciplined up until that moment where you could see the tired legs kind of kick in, and you never want to lose a ball in that type of area, because one of the best players, if not the best player in the world, will take advantage of you in that moment. I do think it was going to be a cross, and then potentially just ended up going in the back of the net. I'm unsure if that was purposeful or not, but because it's who she is, I'm sure she has that in her cards. And so I was still very impressed, though, with Buell and Brand up top. They're committed to trying to get in behind, trying to go at the back line of Spain and really taking those counter movements, just creating opportunities, which I thought they did fairly well. I think just in the end, they just lacked that composure in the final third, right? There were chances, little bits and pieces, but in order to beat a team like Spain, who is so technical, so skillful, and so transitional in those moments with confidence, you have to be more clinical in front of goal. And so I think them taking those chances, it could have been a lot better in the final third for Germany. And you're also missing key defenders like Hendrik, who was out with that red card, and then Nushkin, who was brilliant all tournament. So I think when the fatigue set in, those are the type of players that you wish you had out on the field supporting you in the back line. So Berger had an amazing tournament. She kept Germany in for multiple games. Especially when they needed it towards the end. But ultimately, I mean, you have Paredes, you have Bonmati, you have even Esther. Yeah, she didn't create too much, but she's really difficult to defend because she loves to get into these tight spaces, get on the ball, and create unpredictability in and around the box. So they're a handful. And I think ultimately, when you don't have your fully fit team, towards the end of the game, Spain just took advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. And Jules may only be good enough to play Sunday League or whatever is below Sunday League, but let me tell you, this man loves a tactical breakdown. I know you love your football, Jules, and this one was definitely a game for the tactics lovers, because we're talking about Spain, who literally play the sexiest football, I think, men or women's team. We all talk about it around the world. It was always going to be how their attack and their possession base would go up against what has been a very strong, disciplined German team, even though they did not have a couple of the big names, as we mentioned, because of injuries, because of suspensions as well. So in terms of the tactical battles, who stood out to you? What did you make of it all?
Yeah, I thought it was great. And we saw a similar kind of mindset from Germany against France, even before the red card. That was really early on. But the 4-5-1, I think, worked quite well for Germany in the last two games, even tonight. But it's so hard to play against Spain. Ali said it. There's so much rotation, so much movement with the three midfield, with the three forwards, with your two fullbacks. But for Germany, it was always going to be direct. The first chance for Clara Bull comes from that goal kick from Berger, the flick from Hoffman, and then she's through. And we've had that directness from the two wingers, especially Bull and Brandt. And that's where you can get at Spain. That's what England will have to look at and try to maybe reproduce. Be aggressive when you can. Go and press them when you can. Don't let them play. But you also know at times your block will have to go back quite a lot and play either medium block or deeper block, because they're just so good on the ball. They're just so good at passing the ball. And again, with that rotation, it's so hard to don't give them any space, as we saw on the Bonmati goal when the Germans were tired. So it's going to be very difficult for England tactically to just compete and match up with Spain. But Germany showed tonight that you could do it. Switzerland, to be fair, defended really well for an hour in the quarterfinals, but they were just never going to be good enough. England are probably good enough, not just to defend the whole game, but also to take the ball to Spain and then create their own chances and keep the ball a bit better even than what Germany did today.
Yeah, we also have to remember who England tend to have coming off of the bench in terms of fresh legs, which could come in handy. But we'll get to that in a bit. We will preview the final soon. Just want to put the bow, Ali, on this semi-final as well, because if you're Spain, of course, you're getting through. And I know you have been there as well, on a top U.S. women's national team where you're definitely not playing your best performance, but you have someone like Aitana Bonmati. But you do know going into a final as well, you can't necessarily always just rely on that spark, on that extra player, on that special player, as special as they are. We've seen Argentina suffer on the men's side too, with Lionel Messi as well. So going into this one, looking back at this game, how happy do you think Spain would be with their performance, or what questions will they be asking after this?
I do think that, Germany posed a challenge for Spain to have a better understanding of how to break a team down when they sit in a lower block. And Spain is very comfortable in doing that because of their, the way that they can possess the ball and the way that they can combine in and around the box to create opportunities out of nothing. And you have players who can create something out of nothing. But big players have to show up in big games and make big plays. And that is what Bonmati did. So you have these individuals who are capable of doing that in moments that you need that brilliance, which you can count on Spain every single moment of the game to accomplish that. But Germany did pose that threat, because when you saw these long balls from Germany, which is uncharacteristic of them throughout the entire tournament, at least, they were playing longer balls and trying to disrupt play, trying to be unpredictable because they wanted to catch Spain out on the transition, and then knew that Buell and Brand could go, for pace in behind, which could end up hurting Spain. But I just don't think that, they threatened Catacol enough. And especially when you have Olga coming up on the left-hand side, and Pina's movement and connection with Putellas and Bonmati. I mean, it's just too many powerhouses on the field at once, and too many threats. So Germany couldn't, allow too many players to go forward, because they would have, been eaten alive, so to speak, if that Spain would regain the ball and quickly go on transition to break lines. So they had to be careful, and they had to sit back a little bit more. That's why you saw some of the options going over instead of around or through for Germany. And that's why they had, some type of switch, adjustment, I should say, not a switch, but an adjustment during the game. And ultimately Spain just had the legs and had the commitment and had the ability to continue that possession style that they love to play, and that's so beautiful to watch. And then you just need one moment of brilliance from the best player in the world, and you have to get her on the ball in that moment, and she did what she did best. So ultimately, Germany was disciplined defensively. It just wasn't good enough in the final third.